Welcome back, everyone. We're back again doing another review, this time to the Strongholds and Followers book by Matt Colville DM, or MCDM Productions. I can't remember if it's Dungeon Master for the DM Bard, but regardless, I backed their Kickstarter back in, I believe it was 2018, was it, or 2017? Might be 2017. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, they were doing a Kickstarter for a Strongholds and Followers book, basically going through all the different strongholds you can have, the effects you can give your character, enemy, villains, all the stuff you can bring for your character, for the area, for morale, for the NPCs in your areas, and then it also includes some custom races. I think maybe one custom race, custom monsters, some really cool things. These like kind of stone kind of, and stone, diamond, emerald, that kind of, maybe I can't say elemental because there's elemental dragons, but I want to say like the elements. I can't think of a term for it, but maybe rocky dragons. But like there's like emerald, ruby, sapphire, amethyst, and a few others that look really cool. They have really cool pictures and how they're described and all their cool little abilities. And there's a lot of custom monsters as well, like the demons and deities. There is a few things that kind of remind me of the anime Overlord, where like there's when the Ainz attacks the soldiers in season 1, where they come with all the angels and stuff, kind of like angels in that regard, and then you could bring them into your D&D setting in that way. And now like there was like divine deity, or they're kind of like divine deities but not deities in a sense. They have weird names. I'll show you in the book. And just before I actually get there, there's one thing to note about this book. It's a bit strange how it feels. Like, if you look at it, a normal book, when you go into it, the paper, it feels more like plastic than it does like typical paper from like a D&D style book. I know they're not technically D&D, it's more of a supplemental thing, but it still feels like off. But not in a bad way, but just off. There's so many different, like how to develop, just to cover the chapters in it. The table of contents, introduction, strongholds, type of strongholds, acquiring a stronghold, extended power, the keep, the tower, the temple, the establishment, strongholds by class, and then kind of like all the different types you could actually throw into your setting, like a barbarian's camp, the bard's theater, cleric's church, druid's grove, fighter's fortress, the monk's monastery, paladin's chapel, ranger's lodge, rogue's tavern, the sorcerer's sanctum, warlock fane, a wizard's library, stuff like that. Then it goes through the dollars you can get from creating a stronghold, so like your units, your retainers, artisans, ambassadors, allies. And then there is a custom adventure from the Siege of Castle Rend. I can't remember, I think this was campaign 2 before they're doing their new campaign on the MCDM YouTube channel. But when Matt was running it for the guys at Turtle Rock with like CJ, and I think there was 2 Toms, and he had 2 kind of groups and he brought them together. But the Siege of Castle Rend, stuff like that, notes on preparing the adventure summary, major NPCs, the village of Graceford, the Forest Rend, the ruins of Castle Rend, the Siege of Castle Rend, conclusion, stats for NPCs, magic items. So kind of like your typical setting, but a little more in depth. And then appendices, they got new monsters, demons, devils, the celestial court, the court of all flesh, the court of Arcadia, the court of dragons, gemstone dragons, that's what they're called, gemstones, couldn't remember it, elementals, cyanic dragons, gemstone dragonborns, the exonerables, warfare, units and the anatomy of them, size, attack and defense, power and toughness, morale, creating your own units, stuff like that. It's really cool. I think this book is about 300 pages. 260. But that's including like all the stuff. Well, if we can go through, just pull through some of the dragons. Ancient Emerald. Doesn't seem to be a picture of the Ancient Emerald, unless he's on this side. Nope. they seem to have a picture of the Wormling, but we'll show you a picture of the Ancient Ruby. And this kind of stuff is, I think if you guys backed it, you would have seen some of their drawings they had for the sample and how they're going through the artist and choosing it. But here's one of them. You can see it there. It's hard to see with the camera when you're facing a different angle, but stuff like this, it looks sick. They have a sapphire one, which I think is my favorite. If I just bring it back. This guy, he looks more like an elephant or something, one of those kind of riding things in Avatar. I don't know, but it looks really cool. Stuff like that. And they have all their stat blocks, all their legendary actions, and then they have Synox, so it's kind of different from the typical dragons that are available in all the different D&D source material. And then they have like an Enderdragon, which seems to be a fairy dragon. Looks kind of cool. There's all these different I would essentially call them demon lords to an extent. It's like there's the Queen of Bones, Korsoth, Vastican. Queen of Bones is a bit creepy deepy. But then you have all these little bits of lore on them. Then you have the Court of All Flesh. As with all things in Primordius, the Sea of Eternal change to favor of Lords of Chaos is a quixotic and fluctuates constantly. Currently, the 6 members described here hold the favor of the White King and Red Queen, but the only constant in Primordius is change. At any moment, the Court of All Flesh could be rearranged or replaced completely. Warlocks and Dark Priests of old still consider all these courtiers as newcomers on the stage, and they lament the passing in favor of the unseen Karasfor and reflection of Morlu, whom they consider greater and more powerful than these lesser beings. But for example, the Court of All Flesh, this is Baron Malgas. Ooh. Bit of a creepy looking one. Something out of Dark Souls or something. One thing to note in this, this is the thing I was talking about. In Overlord, there was a creature called the Minion. I can't remember if he had any additional names to it, but like, this is a large celestial good, and like, you got some images like this, which look really good. Dominion, we have Virtue. Virtue looks like a couple of hands coming out of a bowl or something, or hands holding like a sword or kind of dagger of sorts. Then you have Authority, which this is the image that kind of reminded me of the thing from Overlord. It looks kind of cool, Authority, but I assume these names are kind of always around. But I just kind of clicked the idea in my head. I know, Overlord is inspired from D&D and other fantasy genres and whatnot, so it's not surprising. The only interesting thing about this book is the art style. It feels like there's a couple of different styles going on at once. Not to say that's a bad thing or anything. It's just to find an example here. A lot of text. Would have been good if I had a picture on hand. Like, there's lots of really well done art pieces, and then there's some that seems a bit like it was rushed. Not to say that they focus on good things or bad things, but I don't know. I really should have brought up a picture when I had it ready to go. I don't know. It just feels like some things are more in depth than others. It's hard to describe because you gotta go through pictures and you kind of see different styles. I suppose this is a good example here. We have the carpenter, and then we have just like almost looks like an art painting of sorts. It's like this image here. It seems kind of like what you see at a typical D&D, like the kind of like someone doing something or some heroic pose. And we have this one down here. You can't really make it out as clearly, but it looks more like a painting. So it seems a bit weird, like in that regard. Like, I understand like there's some stuff they want to do, like big, massive portrait pieces and make it cool, like, which is great and all, but I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do that, maybe keep it consistently through it. That's my opinion. If you're going to do one, if you want to include art, maybe make it consistently the same, or like consistently change it up, because it just feels weird. I don't know, or maybe we're going to keep them separate on separate pages. I don't know. Maybe that's just my OCD coming through. Possibly. But yeah, it's I really like it. It's really well done. There's so much to cover, so I can't really cover everything. And I know you're going to say like I haven't really covered anything at all, but there's a lot of stuff in this. All the different. So you have all these different. Go to the beginning of this where it goes through all the different sample or maybe default strongholds that you could have as your base character. So, for example, we'll start off with the barbarian. So you have the barbarian's camp, and like the imagery is really cool. You get you roll a D100 and you get a follower. So, and then you get like elite light infantry size 1d8, and then it kind of goes through all different stats. And then you have stuff like warlords, skinwalkers, beast lord, necromancers, swordmasters, blacksmith, and all these other things. And when you get, and then you can get these things roll on special allies table, and then all these special allies, and you get different abilities and stuff. And each special thing has different elements to it. It's really cool. They have bits and bobs. And then like once you find your thing, you gotta roll on your die. Then you go to the follower chart, and then see what ally you have based on what stats and this, that, and the other. Then you have special allies that are here, which is just after the follower section. I don't know if you can make it out. But then you get stuff like you have your alignments. So like, I suppose it's just if you are a oh yeah, so you roll based on your alignment. So if you're lawful good, you roll between 1 and 4, you get a cool tell, 5 and 8 diva, 9 and 10 young silver dragon, 11 adult bronze dragon, 12 gold dragon, and then to the exact opposite with chaotic evil. At 1 to 4, you get a 11th level human anti-paladin, 5 to 8 Alamia, 9 to 10 is a young white dragon, 11 is the adult black dragon, and roll on 12 is roll on the demon allies chart. And then from there you can get a unit of Quasits, a Succubus, a Lesser Marlith, Glaberzu, Hezeru, and a Lesser Balor. And then from there, once you go to the monster section, you get all these different monsters. So there's some custom ones, and then you can have like custom retainers. So like, which are like kind of niche soldiers. So for example, with a barbarian retainer, you have classes such as the Reaver and the Spirit Warden, and then they have their primary ability, staves, skills, their signature attack, and then the abilities they can use during the day. So they're kind of like just standard barbarians, but they may be a little more niche. So like Reaver, I was thinking more Dragon Age based on it, if it was going to be kind of ballistic, but it's not really. It's more like you go kind of crazy and angry, as the barbarian does. But just for an example, we can go to with warlock retainers. You have like alienist, and you kind of more an investigative. Your spells are detect thoughts, black tentacles, and telekinesis. Signature attack is Eldritch Blast, and then you have for another retainer is your Diabolist. Your main attack is Eldritch Blast. Third level spell is Burning Hands, Fireball, and then you have Flame Strike as well. So you have all these different things. So they're kind of cool. It's hard to go through. I think it'd be really good on like a live stream just to read through it all. Maybe do that someday. It's really cool. Monster of which? Arrows of Slaying. It doesn't say how much they cost. I don't know, I'm just kind of reading through this as I'm going along. I've had a quick skim through it, and I read through bits and proportions, and it's really cool. There's other little bits. I'll put a link in the description if they're selling it. I'm not sure if they're selling it or still getting rid or sending out the Kickstarter books, because I think they're almost a year behind their initial point of everything being sent out, because their initial thing was I think September 2018, and then it got pushed back to like March, and then it got pushed back to like June this year, so it's almost a year. And I only got it now, and we're midway, almost at August, so it's almost been a year. But Yeah, and then you have your full adventure, and it's about, I want to say it's good 50, 60 pages. And then it seems more well thought out than other campaigns. That's one thing I've always not really liked about pre-written adventures, that they're not really fleshed out, and they don't kind of help newer DMs, and they just don't feel like they have some knowledge in it, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't give you enough to an extent. And this, it just gives you too much, but like too much is always a good thing. Well, too much is never a bad thing. Sometimes it can be, but I feel like it just gives you more than enough than you need. And if you don't want to use it, great. But if anyone comes up with having any questions, it's there. So like, it's kind of handy. Unless of course someone does something fucking off the walls crazy. That's like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do and just like spitball a reaction to it. But yeah, it looks really cool. The monsters, the custom monsters they have, the custom magic things they made for some of the adventure is pretty cool. I don't want to go into it unless some of you guys are going to be playing it, so maybe not divulging what exactly happens in it, which would probably be handy. And then all these monsters are actually sick as hell. All these different knights, they're actually really cool. And in fairness to the monster stuff, really cool. Like High Templar of Dust, that looks awesome. It's like he's cloaked in elemental energy. Oh, he is. Then we have the dragons, which are awesome. And then probably the most evil looking one out of the lot is the ancient amethyst dragon. This thing is freaky as hell. It almost looks like a spider met like a lizard and a bat, and then ate some amethysts. It is freaky deaky. And this one is neutral evil, so it's just naturally evil, so it'll probably just kill you for the sake of killing you. And then you have all these like kind of space elementals. So like, the only thing that's kind of weird about them is like they're space elementals. You just assume them to be like all powerful. And then death, like you think they're one of the most powerful constructs ever and imaginable. Challenge rating 6. But that's him down there. It looks kind of cool. It looks kind of like they took elements of maybe the horses, because he kind of got like horse legs to an extent. Look cool. And then you have warfare and stuff, and it kind of goes through all the different units you can make, how to attack with them, all the different, their strength, how they do against different defenses. This will be more for people who want to do tactical warfare to like a higher level than maybe rolling like on D100s and just seeing what happens, or just running it like as like a cinematic sequence rather than allowing NPCs to be involved, or if they're going to be doing something they can see it from afar and see everything that's happening. But yeah, maybe just end it there, just because otherwise we'll be going through the rest of the book. But yeah, you should definitely pick it up if you can. I'll put the links in the description if there are any to pick it up. Otherwise, I imagine they're going to be selling it soon, or maybe it'll just be going into your local game shop. But yeah, so if you can pick it up, I'll put a link in the description and you should check it out. It's definitely a handy thing to have if you ever want to run a certain game and having these kind of more warfare-esque tactics, or maybe even need to get like the monsters in it that are kind of cool, or even run the adventure from it, because it seemed very in-depth. But yeah, sure, check it out. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.